Original OG Ringer employee Kevin Clark, now at ESPN. You see him on your TV. You can see him on your YouTubes. Still talking football, still whipping out the takes. It's great to see you.
I'm so happy to be here. Your lighting is phenomenal. We just discussed how the window and being in front of you has just
It's a
changed
big window
everything
move
about
for
you.
me. I know.
It's
Yeah,
a big window.
Lighting's important. I asked you what you want to do for 5 favorites.
Yeah,
We negotiated a little bit. It's in the offensive realm.
it is.
We didn't know whether it's fun, whether it's red zone / league pass.
Watchable. So what we used to do at the Ringer was our top. We'd go 1 through 32 top teams you want to see on red zone, and we always used to call Scott Hansen and Edris Siliano, and they would give great takes on what makes a great red zone team, and it's what makes a great offense. They score touchdowns, not field goals. They don't meander. They have explosive plays. Normally, it's a running quarterback. Like, we know what it looks like. So it's distinct with that difference. I say top 5 most watchable, but you can also go with red zone teams.
So the Patriots will not be on this list.
Can I defend Drake May for 30 seconds?
I'd love it. I mean, I have a lot of, I'm hoping he's my quarterback for the next 20 years of my life. So please do.
So I went to a practice and he looked bad, which is not uncommon in the early part of it. But he just didn't play. And we're going to get to some of these rookie quarterbacks on my list, but like, he's learning pro football, which is a completely different game than college. Drake May's never seen a good disguised blitz in his life. Like, that's how the college game is now. Okay, the way the hash marks are, the way the athletes are, it's just a little bit different. And then he's going against a bunch of guys who learned defense from Bill Belichick. Like, it's gonna look bad. He just hasn't played enough football and hasn't played enough pro football for it to look anything other than struggle. Like, he seemed confused pre-snap when I was there and post-snap. And he saw like a couple desperate.
Are there other snaps or are those the only two? Pre-snap and post-snap?
I think he got a handle on it at the moment.
What about mid-snap? Mid-snap was good?
He took the stand well. No, but like he would like have desperation shovel passes and stuff because it was clear to me, at least, that he didn't know what was coming or the pressure was coming. But like, that's just going to happen in training camp. That's what it's for. So I'm still, I had Drake May stock and I'm holding on to it. And anything I saw at that practice, I'm discarding because it would hurt my priors.
Well, now he's been doing a lot better, and they're talking about potentially him starting in week 1, which I think it's not the dumbest thing of the 2020s, but it's in the conversation because they have a brutal schedule the first 4 games. We have no right tackle. We have no left tackle. He's 21 years old, and he took this huge hit in the Eagles game where the left tackle just missed the block.
Yeah.
Drake May gets pancaked. It looked like he was like landed on his shoulder. And my dad and I were watching. We're like, ah! I just put him on ice until like week 6. I don't want to see him.
How would you feel if you're Jacoby Brissett and like the literal line is, hey, why don't we get this guy hurt? Like, if someone's going to get hurt, it might as well be that guy. It might be
Right.
you. That's what the money's for situation there with Jacoby Brissett.
I think this is his probably last dance at being a starting QB. So
I agree.
He's about to move into the phase where he's standing next to the coach a lot and he's got a cool hat on and looks concerned during 2-minute warnings.
He's 2 steps, and we could play this game all day long. He's 2 steps from podcasting. Because you're 1 step and you're like just a career backup for like 2 years.
Oh, that's interesting. How many steps is that? So the first step is backup QB.
Yeah.
There's not a second step where you're like
it's
QB headset.
QB. So with Brissett, I think it's backup QB with like a really good starter, like Kansas City, where it's like he's never going to play. It was Brandon Weeden when he was backup with Dallas. He literally said, "God forbid I have to play," because like it means the starting quarterback's out, like that kind of guy. Like, you see these guys all the time. Brissett's not there. You see them on August 5th every training camp. They have a pouch in their stomach.
Yeah.
And they're basically vibes guys. They're always wearing a branded golf hat. And they've just stepped off the course, it looks like. And they have no interest in playing. They're there just to run the offense. Or just to be in meetings. That's the first step before podcasting, the last step before podcasting.
Sounds amazing. Can't wait for the season.
$4 million a year. They make like $4 million a year. So Jacoby, the next step is that what I just described. It might be next year for you, and then we're headed to the podcasting realm.
You're going to count down from 5 to 1. Your
Sure.
favorite red zone offenses. So give us number
Yes.
5.
All right, red zone channel offenses, most watchable offenses. This one's going to surprise people. This is not best offenses. Please do not say, "Oh, you left off the Packers." This is not best offenses. The Washington Commanders of Jaden Daniels are going to be so unbelievably fun to watch. So Jaden Daniels is one of these guys, and there's a couple of them in this draft, and there's going to be more coming. I call them doctor quarterbacks because they played for so many years in college, and they just played football. Like there's a stat that Bo Nix is like the 5th oldest week 1 starter ever. The other guys were either playing minor league baseball or in the Army, like Roger Staubach.
Right.
Like
defending our country.
Yeah. And and Bo Nix was just playing football. And Jaden Daniels is the same. Like Jaden Daniels threw a touchdown pass to Brandon Ayuk in college to beat Justin Herbert. He's played a million years. I think he had double the career pass attempts that JJ McCarthy had. And so you look at that, and I talked to the quarterbacks coach, Peter Pritchard, when I was at practice a couple weeks ago, and he was like, the thing with these guys now is the transfer portal has become one of the most important things in football, because in pro football, because these guys are able to find a home, they're able to get different coaching, and then there's so much tape and so much data in their head that they're almost like, the Drake may be the opposite, but like they're basically pros, as far as preparation and as far as experience and that stuff. They just have to get the final piece. But Jaden Daniels is ready to push the ball down the field like right now. He broke Joe Burrow's explosive record, like for all-time explosive plays in the college level. Cliff Kingsbury is going to understand what he can do. They're already meeting with him, figuring out like what he likes to do, inside fades. I saw a nice wheel route the other day that went deep. Like they're going to be able to push the ball down the field really quickly. And the other part of it is like he takes a lot of sacks and he holds on to the ball. Like there's always going to be excitement with Jaden Daniels, and I don't think we're necessarily giving that enough attention.
So you're thinking big plays,
huge plays,
fumble touchdowns for the defense, maybe a couple picks. And then what he did in college, which he just takes off and he runs for like 45 yards.
And say what you will about Cliff Kingsbury. You can say a lot of things. He can design a run. And I remember Stephen Ruiz once saying that if nothing else, he'd hire when they hired him in Arizona, he said he would hire him as a run game coordinator. And like that's always been kind of his destiny. And so if nothing else, there will be good schematic stuff for Jaden Daniels early. Like we too often conflate making our rookie quarterback's life easy with babying him. We're always like, oh, we got to have check downs, we get a tight end or whatever. It's like, no, do what he's comfortable with. And what Jaden Daniels is comfortable with is throwing the ball 40 yards downfield.
Right. So he's on FanDuel, he's 6-1 to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, and Caleb Williams is plus 120. So, and Harrison's plus 650. And to me, it's like, I think all three of those should be dead even. I could totally see Harrison winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. It looks like he's going to be incredible.
Completely agree.
I may or may not have been on a couple Pats fan text threads where we're kind of like, oof, hope he doesn't turn into like the best wide receiver of all time. That would suck if we didn't take him. But Caleb versus Jaden is like, they're both in good situations. They're both going to throw the ball a ton. I don't know why one would be so higher than the other.
Well, Caleb is coming into the best situation for a number 1 overall pick ever. Like to have Rome Odunze, and then the two veterans, DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, even though there's some weirdness around Keenan Allen. He's getting all the things that Justin Fields didn't get. And I think people are understanding that he's going to have instant success too. Like the floor is higher for that franchise.
Counter. Sam Howell came within a stone's throw of throwing for 4,000 yards last year. Did you know that? Sam Howell had like 3,950 yards passing. And I was like, I don't remember any of them. So, all right, go to number 4.
There was like a 3-week period where you would get yelled at by Commanders fans if you said Sam Howell wasn't the future. It was incredible.
Right.
It was incredible. Yeah.
And then he would just get sacked 10 more times. All right, number 4 is?
All right, number 4. This guy has the potential to be the most exciting player in football. He is the fastest quarterback in the history of the combine. He 0.2 faster than Cam Newton and 0.3 faster than Josh Allen. He has a vertical leap over 40 inches, 5 inches better than Cam Newton's. It is Anthony Richardson and the Indianapolis Colts. So, wow. That was, what a noise. What a noise. He played 1 month last year, and he was one of the best in the NFL. Very, very small sample size, but one of the best in the NFL against perfectly covered plays, which means like the defense does its job and you still deliver. And he reached 21 miles per hour when he ran,
Wow.
fastest by a QB without the ball since 2016, according to Next Gen Stats. There was a thing this week where Bengals defenders were like making fun of his throwing or whatever, that he wasn't as developed as a passer. I'm betting big on the athleticism, and I'm also betting big on Shane Steichen, who's a really good coach. Jonathan Taylor in that backfield. The line is good. The defense is going to be good enough. Like Solak and I went back and forth a couple weeks ago on this. He's not that into the defensive backfield. I don't care. I'm not picking them to beat the Chiefs here. I'm picking them to be excited. They're going to be unbelievable to watch if Richardson stays healthy, which by the way has always been a question.
I like their skill guys. I actually like their wide receiver crew. Taylor coming out. They settled his contract. They have good offensive line. He's in a great spot. I just have no idea if he's good. It seems like people have been pretty split on the preseason with him.
Yes. No, yes. And part of this, I want to see schematically like what they do. Like it's so hard if the question is role, like what are you going to do with a guy? It's so hard to decipher that in preseason because guys don't want to show anything. Like last year, Mike McDaniel changed offense, and nobody in Miami on like August 10th was like, "Oh, Mike McDaniel's going to change offense." No, they did it in Los Angeles the first week of the season. It was under wraps. So like, I think if you're gonna, it's hard for me to read anything into that. Like they need to keep him healthy. He needs to take another step, but like his potential is unbelievable. I mean, it's very Josh Allen, right? Where there's just so many questions and so many things have to go right. But like if it does go right, everything changes in the AFC.
They are definitely on my radar as like I can't wait to see what happens with this team. And he seems like he's in a good spot. I think they're from Jacksonville, Tennessee, to I think could be crap teams in the division. Seems set up for him. Good coach.
Also, yeah, I was going to say, turns out Shane Steichen was really important to Philadelphia. Because last year they had no second pitch when they couldn't handle the blitz. And so maybe Shane Steichen is a really freaking good coach, which is funny because that happened years ago with the Super Bowl team, the Nick Foles team, where everybody was like, well, it was actually, Frank Reich or people thought it was John DeFilippo, all this stuff. And it's like, well, it's a lot of guys, but like Shane Steichen was very important to that Super Bowl team 2 years ago. All right, number 3 is an easy one, but it's not like what you think. It's the Chiefs. And, there's a couple things about it. It was funny. I was reading
Jesus
this
Christ
thing the other day. Where what?
I don't know. That seems a little fine. Go ahead. Let's hear the case.
All right. So there was a thing the other day. I was reading an article in PFF that was like everybody's weakness, and it was that Mahomes bails from the pocket too early and tries to make these crazy plays, and that's what you want if you're just saying let's be entertaining. Like he wants to make a play happen all the time. But the most important thing to me, Bill, is the chemistry he has with Kelsey. It is a basketball team. Like Kelsey doesn't even on a bunch of plays, he doesn't even run routes, man. He just finds holes in the defense, puts his hand up, and like posts up and calls for the ball. I've never seen anything like it. Maybe I just don't know ball or whatever. But like Colt McCoy did a great breakdown of this right before the Super Bowl, where like against every coverage, Travis Kelce just sort of wanders out into the defense. They know exactly where they're going to be, and he gets an 11-yard gain. I've never seen anything like it. And it's one of the coolest things. And it's sort of hard to pick up on. It's hard to see on the TV copy, all of that stuff. Like the nuances of those two guys and their chemistry is as special as anything as there is in football right now. And I can't get enough of it.
I would add for the case for the Chiefs, if Worthy becomes like a really fun toy, which you can see some of the preseason, they're putting him in different spots and just telling him to basically run fast. Mahomes will find him. It does feel like he might play more than, the fast receivers that are like late first round, early second round. It just feels like a fucking coin flip whether those guys are going to be good or not. There's no rhyme or reason to it, but it seems like he might actually be good.
Well, then the improv, like the biggest part with the Chiefs is the improvisation down the field. Like Brett Veach, their GM, told me a couple of years ago, like you have to scout. Brett Veach actually studied Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown years ago when Mahomes was young. because he was looking at like what happens when plays break down. These guys find each other again, like a basketball team. And so with Worthy, the biggest thing is like what happens in the 8th second of a play. Like Tyreek Hill was so good at just finding these zones where nobody was going to be using their speed to the advantage. Like Worthy, to me, I joke about this, but it's becoming less and less of a joke. Worthy to me is like the most important player in football this year, because if he's a legitimate receiver, the league is over. Like if you're the Bills and you look at the Chiefs and they've got Xavier Worthy like as the new Tyreek Hill in year one, you're like, the hell are we going to do? Like he really is the X factor to the entire league. And Hollywood Brown is there. There's a lot here. I mean, the biggest problem for the entire league, Bill, is that last year the Chiefs had the hardest path by DVOA in the history of the playoffs. They had the worst team in the Mahomes-Reed era, and they won the Super Bowl. Like I don't. That seems very discouraging if you're trying to build a contender in this era.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that you have to think, can this happen again? And also, this has never happened, like the three-peat, which has never happened since we've started football. But that, you go back, that Buffalo game, I can still see Allen missing Diggs deep in the middle. And it's like, just what happens if he hits that pass? I wonder if the Chiefs win that game. If I was a Bills fan, that game would make me crazy.
Yeah, I felt like the last one, there was a Shakir touchdown that should have happened. There were a bunch of plays.
They felt like they left plays on the table. All right, number 2.
The Miami Dolphins. So there's something here with the Miami Dolphins that is really special. First of all, like if you look at Waddle and Hill and how fast they move, they're the fastest team like ever. Waddle was 20 miles per hour or more on 6.5% of his plays the last 2 years. And the only person with more is Tyreek Hill, who's at 10%. And that's like double anybody else. I think George Pickens might be third. And they just move in a way that Mike McDaniel, like the motions they have, that Mike McDaniel uses in such a special way. And the efficiency is what's kind of amazing because they run the ball a ton. They rotate a little bit. And the efficiency is, I think that Tyreek Hill, like you look at usage rate, Tyreek Hill caught a pass on like a higher percentage of his routes than like any player in history last year. Like when he goes out for a route, he normally gets the ball. And there's an efficiency there that is just stunning. And the fact that they spread the ball around too is really incredible. And so I think that just generally, we've never seen an offense like this. And I don't know if it's even possible to have it again.
1-6 against playoff teams last year. Had their pants pulled down in the KC playoff game. No, I'm just like, I've been on some Dolphins text threads. JJ, you remember JJ, Dolphins fan.
That's my guy.
And he's kind of touchy-feely about the Dolphins because everyone's kind of out on them and he's upset about it. And I don't know, if you told me this will continue and it will still be the most fun offense like it was last year, or this could go really badly, I think I would lean toward the really badly. But I'm not ruling out the other side either.
I just think they have so many fast guys. They just you just keep it coming, you know? And I think that they build it on speed. That's their identity. They've shown they can have a floor with Tua.
They're super fun to watch.
I'm closer
to...
They
paid Tyreek Hill. Now he's paid. Now it's like when he does the thing where it's like, oh, my leg hurts. And he comes out, his helmet's off. And it's like, my leg's fine. And he goes back in. I don't know. The
hold in. I love the hold in.
The during the game hold in. We're just for like the one series hold in. All right, Miami's won. So
I should have done that at the Ringer. Just in the middle of a podcast.
Hold in? That would have been amazing.
Just in the middle of a podcast. You're like, oh man, I have 6 months left on my deal. I'm going to sit this one out. Nora, you take this one.
Number
one is the Houston Texans.
I love it.
So CJ Stroud had the best deep passer rating in the history of the sport last year. He was a rookie, by the way. And when he struggled on intermediate to short passes. He struggled on target passes. And they went out and they got Stephon Diggs, who's one of the best intermediate receivers in football last year. And always has been. And he's just reliable and is always going to get open. They weirdly, I don't agree with what they did, but they weirdly put Diggs into a contract year. So he's going to be motivated. Nico Collins is good at every single thing on a football field. Great against man, great against zone. He's just really, really, really good. But more than anything, it's just that CJ Stroud, like the thing that I always think about, no one threw past the sticks more than CJ Stroud. And like in this league now, it's become so stupid where everybody, and I know why you're doing it, but I don't like to watch it. You're always taking what the defense gives you. You're always taking the check down. And what CJ Stroud is like, what if I threw it 19 yards to Nico Collins? What if I did that? And like that to me is, if you can do that reliably, and like it'll change. Like it was not sustainable that Stroud's deep passer rating last year was 100 points higher than Patrick Mahomes. It's because how they defend Mahomes. It's totally fine. They're going to start defending Stroud differently, but that's why you add in different pieces. You add in different pitches to your game. This is just like we're watching something special. And what's funny is like we saw it against Georgia 2 years ago in the playoffs. He was dominating them. He was doing whatever he wanted to against a almost NFL caliber defense. I would never say NFL caliber because of the differences in the two sports. But it's just it's genius at work. It's special stuff. If we hadn't seen Mahomes so recently, we'd be talking about it differently because I think no one can be Mahomes. But there's someone here now who's kind of the prince who was promised that can take on Mahomes in 2-3 years.
And you didn't mention Tank Dell's back.
He's back.
Like 3 awesome receivers. We'll see with Diggs. It always makes me nervous when the Bills are like, yeah, you should go to another team. But the Stroud stuff, yeah, I was looking at the passing yard leader stuff for him. He was like 7-1 to finish with the most passing yards. He had 3,512 games when he got hurt last year. He was on pace for almost 5,000 as a rookie. And now it's year 2. His receiving core is better. The team, I think, is just going to be better in general. And the only case against him chucking it the same way would be if they're just good and they're up in games and they're not throwing as much. But I'm all in on CJ Stroud stuff. I think he's
yes,
MVP. I think he's a possible play. Passing yards, 4,000 yards, 4,500 yards. Like, I'm in on all those.
They also lucked out because Bobby Slowick, their OC, is coming back. Like when you have a defensive coach, first of all, DeMeco Ryans is an awesome coach. Brian Callahan told me a couple of years ago that when the Bengals were playing the Niners, they like DeMeco Ryans against Joe Burrow just invented a defense on the fly, just like came up with the Tampa 2 thing they'd never seen on tape. And the coach was like, what the hell is this? And it was just because DeMeco Ryans is so good at teaching and coming up with stuff. And I thought that was pretty interesting. So I always knew he'd be a good coaching candidate. But then you have the OC, like, I don't want to get into this whole thing, but like one of the funny things about Robert Saleh is he keeps hiring these bad OCs. And it's like, you should be able, if you're a defensive coach, you should have the best marketing. Like, you have the best job opening in the world. It's like, you get to run this offense. If you're any good, you get to be head coach. And so like Bobby Slowick has a proof of concept, and then he didn't get a head job last year. That is so important because I'm sure he'll get one this year. That to me is a huge, huge, huge thing in the AFC race.
I like it. Kevin Clark, great to see you as always. Hope all is well in New York City. Say hi to all your colleagues for me.
I will. Thanks, buddy.